All right, it says we're live. I usually give it a moment or two just to confirm. Oh, there we go. Yeah, looks like we're good.
Okay. Hey, everybody, welcome. Welcome to our Facebook Live event with Dr. Aaron, where we're going to talk all about sunscreen, the sun, and all the associated factors like sunscreens. And if you're like me, who was a sun worshiper as a young woman, and a farm kid, you know, what I've been left with is several spots, dark spots on my face. So I'm so excited for this topic because I do want to learn as well the things that I can do to help, you know, remove those dark spots if Dr. Aaron has some answers. So I'm excited as usual to be able to work with Dr. Aaron today. Dr. Aaron is a naturopathic doctor at Nature Doctors, as well as she's the educational consultant for us at Pure Glow Natural Skin Rejuvenation Center. So Dr. Aaron, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know you always keep us informed, intrigued, and inspired to do better with our skin. So take it away.
Thank you, Joanne. It's great to be here. I love our monthly gatherings here together.
Right.
So this is a great conversation. I was just telling Joanne before we started going live here that I didn't really realize that there was going to be so much to say. And so I want to try to keep it as brief as possible, sure, but as educational and as pertinent as possible. I want to give you the most important key facts. If you have questions, definitely make sure to put them in the comments. I think Joanne is going to try to keep on top of that. I also have them open over here so I can see them. So if I miss something that you want to know more about, let me know. And if I don't know something, I will look into it, because there's a lot to know about this topic. Actually, when we think of sun protection, we think of sunscreen, but there really is so much more than just sunscreen. And then when it comes to sunscreen, what sunscreen is best is another question that comes up. So I want to start by just talking a little bit about some of the background science around why the sun is damaging in the first place. So the real reason is it revolves around UV radiation that comes. It's the natural energy that's coming or produced by the sun, and there are two main UV rays that affect our health. UVC is one of the ones that doesn't really affect us because it tends to be blocked by the ozone. But UVA and UVB are two ultraviolet energies that are produced by the sun. UVA has a longer wavelength and it's associated with aging. I like that A for aging. That one does penetrate glass. And so when we talk about sun protection, even in our homes, if you sit by a window, you know, for a good portion of the day, or, you know, there's that, I probably referenced it before, there's that truck driver image where, you know, a truck driver in his 60s, I don't know how old he was, but he's been a truck driver for years, and half of his face looks like he's probably 80 and the other half looks like he's 50. So quite a stark difference. So that's the UVA. It will penetrate glass. So we want to be protecting our skin even indoors, because there are some UV rays that do actually penetrate glass. Then there's UVB. They are shorter wavelengths and they're associated with burning. So think UVB, burning, UVA, aging, and the UVB rays don't penetrate glass. So you don't really have to worry about getting burnt through glass. But the aging factor definitely is an issue and possibly a concern for you. They both affect the skin differently. I don't think we'll go into depth there today, but they both can do harm, and unprotected exposure can damage our DNA and our skin cells. It produces genetic changes in the DNA in our skin that can lead to skin cancer and premature aging. So the issue isn't just premature aging. I mean, we are also talking about skin cancer. And the majority of non-melanoma skin cancers, as well as a larger percentage of melanoma skin cancers, are associated with UV radiation from the sun. So I know a lot of our topics tend to be more around the, pro-aging or supporting healthy aging, but those more detrimental effects are also something that we definitely want to be considering. And melanoma cancer is not something we really want to play around with.
Yeah.
Not something we want to see.
Right.
UV exposure does have a very powerful attack on the skin. It creates damage that can, like I said, it can create those premature wrinkles and then obviously lead to more dangerous skin issues like cancer. It is cumulative. So the damage that we experience is cumulative over time. So we're going to talk a little bit about skin healing, but we also want to just keep in mind and be mindful that damage that we've developed in the past is cumulative, and it's going to cause that DNA damage over time. The degree of sun damage depends on the intensity of the UV rays. So it depends on where you live. It depends on what time of day you're outside. Obviously, here in Manitoba, we don't have the same sun exposure and for the length of time that someone who lives at the equator would have. So, our location is protective for us in that way, but we still need to be mindful of when the sun is at its peak and when we should be, at what times of year and that sort of thing. And I want to sort of preface the conversation, although I've started already, but preface the main conversation around the fact that prevention is actually better than cure. The options that we have around healing sun damage and long-term sun damage. I know that's Joanne's. We're going to talk about age spots. We are going to talk about healing, but the prevention is really key. So moving forward, whether you're in your teens, your 20s, or you're prevention is great. You're in the perfect age category to be preventing, or you're in the age category of 50s, 60s, 70s, where you've been a sun lover in the past. Moving forward, still prevention is still going to be your number one strategy. So prevention being sunscreen, and not all sunscreen is created equally. And so that's why we're having this conversation. It's not just go to your local, Shoppers Drug Mart or wherever you like to buy, quick toiletry products and just pick anything off the shelf. There are definitely things that you want to be looking for and things that are going to be better for your skin and better for your overall health than others. So we're going to dive into a little bit of that now. So I want to talk, first of all, I think something that's confusing, and I have to actually look at it over and over again too. It's the SPF number. What does this SPF number mean? And what it does is it tells us how long the sun's UV radiation would take to redden your skin when you're using the product as directed for the amount of time without any sunscreen. Compared to not using sunscreen. So ideally, let's just say, I want to give you an example. Hold on one second. I always have to look at this too, because I feel like it's confusing even to say it out loud. This is what the Skin Cancer Foundation recommends. They recommend a water-resistant, broad-spectrum sunscreen with an SPF of 30 or higher for any extended outdoor activity. And regardless of the SPF, though, it's important to apply 1 ounce, that's like 2 tablespoons, 30 minutes before going outside, and then reapplying it every 2 hours or immediately after you swim or sweat. So that's the recommendation according to the Skin Cancer Foundation. Sorry, I realized I didn't go back and answer my question around what does the SPF factor mean. I'm going back. Is everyone with me?
Yep.
So the SPF number tells us how long the sun's UV radiation would take to redden your skin when using the product exactly as directed versus the amount of time without any sunscreen. So with, let's just say your skin gets red in 10 minutes without the sunscreen. Your skin will be protected from an SPF of 30. If we just multiply 10 minutes by 30, so that's 300 minutes. So for 300 minutes, your skin will be protected from the sun if you're using the sunscreen as directed. So remember, as directed though, if you've been in the water or you've been sweating, you need to reapply. It's not going to necessarily protect you for that long if you haven't been. I'm holding my sunscreen here. It won't necessarily protect you for, if you've sweat off your sunscreen. But if you're sitting there, you're not sweating, it will protect you for 300 minutes. And everyone will be a little bit different, right? Someone with darker skin will be protected for longer, and they won't. Their skin. Well, I shouldn't say they will be protected for longer. They might only get red skin. They will get protected for longer. because they can sit outside in the sun for much longer without getting red skin. For me, I have very fair skin, and I probably would burn on a hot, probably 10 minutes would probably be like, if I was out in the blazing sun without sunscreen, I'm sure my face would burn in 10 minutes, or my shoulders for sure.
Right.
So make sure you're applying it as directed. So again, and the appropriate amount, right? 2 tablespoons, 30 minutes before you go outside, and then reapplying every 2 hours or immediately after swimming or sweating. So the other kind of issue around sunscreen is physical sunblock versus chemical sunscreen. So which do we choose, and how are they working? So let's talk about chemical sunscreens first. I think that's what we probably all, depending on your age, I guess, we all grew up using if we were using sunscreen. I would have been one of those people using chemical sunscreen. I didn't know that there were other options. And maybe I don't actually know at that time. I didn't look up the dates. I didn't know there were other options. But basically, a chemical sunscreen absorbs into the skin, which is why actually putting it on 30 minutes before you go outside is so important, because it needs time to absorb and penetrate into your skin. And then it absorbs the UV rays and converts those rays into heat. And then that heat is released from your body. So that's how the chemical sunscreens work. However, and I won't go into all of the harms around chemical sunscreens in the human body, but in the environment though, chemical sunscreens are really not great for our oceans and for our lakes. They do a lot of damage to, the marine life. It's been connected with, the dying of the coral reef. And so in even certain places, and I didn't look up this, I want to be accurate, but I believe it's in Hawaii. They've actually banned chemical sunscreens.
Yes.
Am I right about that? It's Hawaii?
Yes.
And it could have probably other places too.
Yes.
Because it's just, because of the harmful effects on the environment. So, and that doesn't go into some of the like endocrinology effects in our body as well. There's going to be some damage in our body. So that versus, let's say, a physical sun block. So a physical sunblock is, as it sounds, it stays on the skin, and it deflects or scatters that damaging UV rays away from the skin. And so it literally blocks the sun, those UV rays. And there's two types right now that are approved for sunblock protection, and that's zinc oxide and titanium oxide. So you can look on your sunscreens. Are you looking at a mineral? If it says it's a mineral sunscreen, it'll say if it has zinc oxide or titanium dioxide in it. And both of them are broad spectrum, so meaning that they're going to protect you from UVA and UVB, and they're gentle enough to use every day. So I know for myself, I use my mineral sunscreens every day on my face, regardless of season. And obviously I'll reapply in the summer and if I'm sweating. But they're safe for sensitive skin, generally speaking. They're safe for children. I know in the past, when they just came out, a lot of the issue was, well, when I put it on my face, I just turn white, right? Like they don't look great, but there's a lot more technology now that has created a much nicer product, and most of them now, especially the facial sunscreens, actually go on really nicely. And we'll talk a little bit about some specific ones coming up. Any questions so far, Joanne? So
far, nothing. One of the questions that did come in earlier, because they do sometimes leave, they can leave sort of a residue on the face. Can you mix them with your foundation?
I don't know the exact answer.
Okay.
But I would say to put it on first. I would put your sunscreen on first, and then I would put I would put your foundation on.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Layer them on. I like that as well.
So you can definitely use both. I would definitely consider using both. If you're using a mineral foundation,
right,
they naturally do also have some SPF protection. We just don't know how much, unless it's been studied and it says on the bottle, we don't know how much, but you'll get some added protection also from a mineral-based foundation as well.
Right. So would it be fair to say for that day-to-day wear, it's probably okay to cocktail them, but if you're going to be sitting in the sun,
yes,
that's a different story. Make sure you're getting that as prescribed protection by following the instructions and layering them.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Yep.
Good. Excellent. Thank you. That's the only question I have.
Okay. So another question I get a lot is around vitamin D and vitamin D and sunscreen. So vitamin D and sun exposure, vitamin D and sunscreen. What do we do? There's sort of this dilemma because we know that vitamin D is really great for us. We get vitamin D. There's actually an enzyme in our skin that will convert inactive vitamin D in our skin into the active form when we have sun exposure. But if we're wearing sunblock, that process doesn't happen. So we're sort of in this dilemma of what do? We want this vitamin D exposure, but then we also, we want to be wearing sunblock. And this is where I could have gone. We could actually probably do a longer Facebook Live just on this topic. So I probably don't have all the answers in this moment. Like in terms of how long we need to be out in the sun in order to get, our daily dose of vitamin D. I didn't look up that number, and I'm kicking myself now for not having that information.
Well,
but
we can post it later.
We'll post it later. Actually, that would be great. We'll post that later. My solution is, I think we have to look at the pros and cons of both, the pros and cons of wearing sunscreen and the pros and cons of vitamin D. And I think the benefits of wearing sunscreen outweigh the natural vitamin D that we get from the sun, because we can get vitamin D from other methods. This sun damage can be, if like I mentioned earlier, it's not just about photoaging or those sort of aging effects from the sun. It's also the skin cancer question. And the best way that we can protect ourselves is through prevention, whether it's, sitting in the shade, wearing clothes, or sunscreen. I think that those factors are more important than the vitamin D, because we can also get vitamin D from supplements and from some foods. And so I really encourage you to work with a practitioner who can test your vitamin D. Unfortunately, in Manitoba, vitamin D is not covered by Manitoba Health because they found that most people were deficient or insufficient. And so the recommendation is to take 2,000 international units of vitamin D a day to get your daily allowance. However, some people are truly deficient, or they need more than 2,000 international units to bring their levels up to an optimal range. And so I always recommend to get your vitamin D levels tested, and you can see a naturopathic doctor. We can requisition that for you and send you to Dynacare. I believe it's a $32 test, so it's not an expensive test, but it's a really important test to know how much vitamin D to be supplementing with. And then you can wear your sunscreen and not have to worry about not getting your vitamin D through the sun. Tressa has a great tip. Thank you, Tressa. So she said, yes, she's agreeing with me. Yeah, sunscreen first, wait for 10 minutes, and then put your foundation on top.
Right.
That's great.
Excellent.
Yeah, Tressa's a good source on that discussion as well. So thank you. So that is we're going to post something on how long you need to be out in the sun to get a certain amount of vitamin D. But the conclusion, though, of my talk about vitamin D is that we wear sunscreen and we test our vitamin D and we supplement with vitamin D.
Absolutely. Love it.
So what are some other things? I wasn't sure how to sort of start this part of the conversation. So basically I want to elaborate on a few other ingredients that are helpful for prevention of sun damage. And then a lot of them are actually also helpful for healing sun damage as well. So if you have like acute sun damage, or you have sort of chronic or like age spots, so you'll actually find that a lot of newer products out there, like new sunscreens, will also contain some other ingredients that are starting to emerge in the research as to also having sun protection. They're just not really approved for being the only ingredient allowed to be in a product to classify it as a sunscreen or a sunblock, but they also have additional benefit. So things like polyphenols and antioxidants are great additions to products. So antioxidants, one of the best ways I like to explain it, like what is an antioxidant? Think about an oxidant first. So if we think about an iron rod, if you put iron out in the rain and it gets rusty, that's an example of oxidation. So so we can use that example. That's kind of what happens when the sun damages our skin. It causes oxidation like that. It's not that our skin gets rusty, but it causes damage in the same kind of way. And so antioxidants help to either prevent that from happening or can help heal that. after it's happened. So that's why we want to look at antioxidants, and anti-inflammatories are really great for the skin. And I'm actually going to pull up, actually, I'm going to read a couple things for you, and then I'm going to pull up a little bit of research that I was looking at earlier. So current research suggests that polyphenols, which would be an example of an antioxidant, may be an effective source of skin protection from the effects of UV radiation, so UVB and UVA, and application and consumption, so eating them like orally, of different types of polyphenols have been shown to lead to lower UVB caused skin damage. So one that's actually really well researched is green tea as a great example. So using it topically has been shown to be very effective for preventing sunburn. And you'll also find, that there's a lot of research on using green tea for cancer prevention as well. And so that's something that you can take in a supplement form. You can take as you can drink green tea. Those are other things that are going to actually help to provide antioxidant levels in your skin. They've actually found, like when we consume green tea, they've actually found that green tea levels in the blood do rise. And even in different tissues like our skin, they actually do find green tea, components in the skin. So just to show that the consumption actually does end up in the skin tissue. And then it can have a really good preventative as well as a healing effect. Now, just to reiterate though, we're not doing this instead of sunscreen. We're still wearing sunscreen, but these are additional things. Let's just say we spend 4 hours out or whatever, an hour or two out in the water when, we didn't reapply, and our face is wet, the sunscreen is off. It just provides another level of protection that may also help. Although I definitely would recommend going back to shore, reapplying, and then going back out. But these are just some things that can add some extra level of protection. And one thing that we are carrying La Spa, which I think we're a little bright here.
Good.
There we go. That one's a little bit better. And I was doing the green tea research, and I was like, I know, because I was reading La Spa's packaging, I know that they have antioxidants in their sunscreen as well. This is a mineral-based sunscreen, so it has zinc oxide 20%. And sure enough, they have rosemary as well as green tea extract, so 2 great antioxidants. So those are also going to have some of the sun blocking effect, sun protection effect from burning, and also healing effect as well. If we're looking at healing sun damage as well. So if you're going back out in the sun again the next day, ideally you're not doing that with a burn, but it's going to also provide more sun healing protection as well. I'm going to just open up another study, and I won't bore you by reading studies to you, but I just wanted to pull up a couple of things from this. And this wasn't a study, as it was actually a review on looking at different antioxidants. So I wanted to name a couple. Some of them are some natural substances that you'll find in skin products, but then also things that you can be taking orally as well. So things like anthocyanins. It's fancy. Again, these are just antioxidant names. You're going to find a lot of them in berries like strawberries and blueberries, apples, elderberries, peaches, pears. All of these sort of fruits and veggies are going to have a lot of these antioxidants in them too. So this just sort of further reiterates the importance of this inside out, outside in approach that we take at Pure Glow, that we can actually be consuming some of these things in our diet that also help to protect the skin integrity from the inside. So it's not just about the outside approach. The inside approach is also really important. Other things like red grapes, like resveratrol that you'll find in grapes, or wine, or grape juice. Resveratrol is amazing for the skin. It's also great for collagen production as well. Quercetin is another great antioxidant that you'll find in things like onions and garlic. Those are also great for the skin. And then things like milk thistle, which is a herb, and turmeric as well, turmeric root. These are great things that you can consume in your diet, or, if you take a supplement, we definitely recommend working with a practitioner if you're wanting to take any of these supplements and make sure that they're indicated for you. But these are things that can be helpful even orally, but you'll also probably find them in your products. You can go home and check your products and see what they have in them. Some of the bigger ones would be things like, hold on. I had already mentioned, I thought I heard a question. Another thing would be like green tea, even like applying green tea onto a burn is another great way of doing it topically if it's not already in your product. And actually a couple of the other things I want to mention in a minute. So I'm just gonna actually put a bookmark in that one. Sorry, Joanne, did I miss a question?
No, I was just saying it's just like edible sun protection.
Definitely.
What a
yes.
what a great way to get the inside out, outside in, the whole gambit of protection, right?
Exactly. And it's not just about putting something on your skin. It's also like, how can we protect and increase the integrity of your skin from the inside? And I know I named a lot of like big words like resveratrol or quercetin. Eat fruits and vegetables. Like, and especially we're in that season in this in Manitoba right now where we're seeing more, locally grown fruits and vegetables. So eat your fruits and vegetables and you're actually going to be benefiting your skin. And if you do happen to burn, you'll also be aiding in that recovery and that healing as well.
Awesome. Love it.
The other one that I would add on there is fish oil. Fish oil is great for improving the integrity of the outside membranes of all of your cells. And so fish oil would be another one that would be great as well from an internal perspective. All right, let me just pull up my notes again here. I may have closed them, but that's okay. I'm going to find them again. The other thing I wanted to mention is what happens when we do have an acute burn before we get into chronic healing or like chronic damage.
I have a question.
You have a question? Okay, let's go. Let's go for it.
What would I do for little white spots on my skin that no longer tan? So what is good for little white spots on my skin that no longer tan? There.
So those can be from damage. Like it can be from sun damage. It can be from a physical trauma as well, can sometimes cause these hypopigmented spots. You may not get melanin production again. I don't know so we see a decrease in melanocytes in that area because of a trauma, whatever that trauma is. I would be making sure that your sunscreen is well applied to those areas because it doesn't have that extra level of protection from the melanocytes. So I don't know if you're asking how do we heal those or simply how do we protect them, but I would definitely be making sure that there's adequate sunscreen on those areas. And they can be from sun damage.
Right. Absolutely.
The other thing I would be making sure is just making sure that's not a fungal infection. Some fungal infections will also look like hypopigmented areas as well. So that would be another thing that I would just make sure that it's not a fungal infection.
Perfect. Thank you.
So what if you have a current sun burn? And I hope that we have come far enough now. I remember even as a teen having a friend who had like just this horrible blistering burn on her chest. Don't fall asleep in the sun. And if you do, make sure that you have lots and lots of sunscreen on. Because once we get blistering skin, we're looking at, more levels of trauma to the skin. But what we want to do if we have an active burn is to not go out in the sun again until that is fully and 100% healed. So that's one thing that's really important. If you're on a beach vacation, you don't want to be exposing that area to the sun again. So making sure that you are staying in the shade and covering up appropriately if you do have a burn. Cool baths can be helpful. If you've ever burned, getting a sunburn is like getting a burn, right? It can be very painful, especially if it's quite bad. So you do want to have some cool baths just to sort of relieve that pain. Aloe vera, because it's so cooling, is something that can be really helpful. It will help to speed up the healing process as well. One other thing that's really important is making sure that you have adequate hydration. So definitely making sure just generally when you're out in the sun, you want to be hydrated. But certainly if you have a burn, we know that, and depending on how big the burn is, what area of the body it's covered, like what percentage of the body it's covering, how severe it is, we do know that burns can cause dehydration. Because it draws out fluid through that burn. And so we do want to make sure that we are adequately hydrating during that time, and just generally in the summer when we're sweating. I think those are some of the big ones in terms of like how to heal an active burn. Should we dive into the conversation more around chronic sun damage, Joanne?
Yes. And because I was just talking about rescue with Bonnie, one of our viewers today, because it's something that I've had to use because of my hyper. So I'm hearing you say hypopigmentation. So I'm guessing that is the lack of pigmentation, correct?
Correct.
And hyperpigmentation, which is what I have, are darkened spots. So when it's an excessive amount of melanocyte, right?
Right. So you can get both from sun damage.
Right. So I've got, dark spots, especially on my cheekbones, not surprisingly, right? Because I tend to burn there. But also now I'm really starting to, as I age, it wasn't there before, Erin. It's just starting now to come out. So I'm guessing that as your skin ages, we also start to see some more of that damage. So I was just telling Bonnie that I'm using the Rescue Epidermal Repair from Osmosis MD, and I'm finding it an excellent source to really reduce the pigmentation. Would she be able to use something like that as well to, protect those areas where she has hypopigmentation? Right?
I would think so. I would think that product would be helpful for that too. It's Epidermal Repair, right? That was like one of our top
seller.
It's top sellers, and one of those ones we wanted to talk about today because it helps to heal at that surface level, but also deeper. It's an epidermal repair, but it heals the epidermis by also healing the dermis, and that's what I'm thinking of. I think what you're talking about in terms of the aging process and having some of those age spots come out now, even though the sun damage was done, let's say 20, 30 years ago or more. Right. What happens is that when there's inflammation in the lower layers of the skin too, it's going to push up those melanocytes too. And so and then as we age, we tend to have more inflammation. There tends to be less circulation to that area. And so that inflammation that is happening deeper can push up those melanocytes and cause that hyperpigmentation too.
Right.
That was just around what you just said. But to answer Bonnie's question, or the question that you asked, I do think that the rescue would be helpful also probably for the hypopigmented spots as well.
Excellent. One more question from Deborah. Is our spray sunscreens less effective or the same as cream or lotions?
That's a good question. Yep.
I'm not aware of whether you can get a mineral in a spray.
I think there are some now.
Excellent.
I would be looking for ones that are not aerosol. Or aerosolized, because they do kind of release particles, that we can then inhale. And even if it's a mineral sunscreen,
right,
I would certainly rather inhale a mineral sunscreen than I would inhale a chemical sunscreen.
Right.
But that's kind of the issue with the chemical sunscreens that have the aerosolized bottles, is that you can inhale those particles. I would say the same with the mineral sunscreen. So I would be looking more for like a squirt bottle. Mm-hmm. I think you need to apply it generously. Going back to what the Skin Cancer Foundation was saying, you need 2 tablespoons. And I that's, for your whole body. I probably use more than that, actually. Yeah. If I think about if I'm doing like face and like head to toe, I'm using more than 2 tablespoons. So that's kind of one thing with the sprays, is that I don't think they get enough coverage probably. Mm-hmm. And then you still have to go in and kind of rub it in and make sure it's applied evenly, because even like with the spray, it's not necessarily getting to all places evenly unless you're rubbing it in. So I'd say if you use a spray, you're still really needing to use your hands to make sure that it's applied generously enough and evenly enough to your whole skin.
Excellent. Okay, and that was the last question I've had so far.
Okay. So let's talk about some of that long-term damage. And actually, it doesn't even have to, I'm not even necessarily talking about 20-year-old damage. It could just be, 5 or 10-year-old damage, or, damage that you incurred, last week. Some of the products that we love to use at Pure Glow are some of the osmosis products for that sun damage. Actually, before we go to sun damage, even for prevention, I really like Replenish. Replenish is the antioxidant serum. I believe it's a combination of it has glutathione and vitamin C in it. It may also have vitamin E, but for sure glutathione and vitamin C. So as prevention, we can be using some of those things topically as well. Again, not in place of your sunscreen, but in addition to your sunscreen. You could be putting on an antioxidant serum underneath your sunscreen. You could be putting on an antioxidant serum at the end of a day that you've spent out in the sun, to help both prevent and then just sort of heal your skin at the end of the day, kind of trap in some moisture to keep your skin nice and moist. So that's a great summertime serum. I really like Replenish in the summer. For a little bit more, like deeper action, a little bit more of a hard, heavy hitter, I would say the Catalyst AC11, which is our vitamin C serum, which is fantastic at that deep DNA healing at the deeper epidermal layer, or sorry, deeper dermal layer. The Catalyst AC11 is fantastic for and anybody of any age. You don't have to have sun damage from 30 years ago. I love Catalyst. It's great. And I notice the difference within days of use, really. And the Rescue, I'd say that combination together, Rescue is really great for the hyperpigmented spots. We're thinking probably the hypopigmented spots as well, whereas the Catalyst would be more in terms of like some of the wrinkling that happens with aging and the sun damage. It's really great at tightening the skin and increasing collagen production. So those two would be my top favorites for healing and longer term damage, whereas the Replenish, I would say, is a great prevention addition that you could add to your sunscreen regime. In terms of some of the like the sunscreen, I think I had already mentioned Le Spa. This one I believe is the facial one. They have body, right? They have body. Haven't tried the body ones yet, but they have body ones as well. And they use a combination of the zinc oxide as well as some of those antioxidants. Again, for additional sunscreen protection. They don't have to add it. It doesn't need to be in there. They already have the zinc oxide, but it's just that additional added benefit that I really, really like. And then they also have, I noticed they also have avocado oil and coconut oil, which are also really great soothing oils as well, that can be great for soothing a burn, but also again protecting your skin too. So those are some of my favorite solutions. I guess we could also talk about microneedling. I didn't actually put that on my list, but microneedling is also a great way to deal with hyperpigmented spots and some of those long-term things that happen with sun damage.
Right. The other thing I was going to mention, Dr. Aaron, is Le Spa has come out with an SPF 50 now. And and again, really safe for the kiddos, and it comes in a stick. So, how little kids, their ears, their shoulders, you could use it all over the face, but it's really easy to use. And it comes like in a deodorant stick. So again, really, and with a really high SPF. So it's more along that sunblock line, where we're taking a look at really protecting the skin. Because really, of course, that's what we want to do, right? I mean, I love what you're saying, is really prevention is the key to this all. But for those of us who didn't, I grew up in the day of baby oil, So,
yeah, and all hope isn't lost.
No, absolutely not. I'm going to tell you, the Rescue and the Catalyst, you're absolutely right. Those are my go-tos. I can't live without them. So.
And one thing just to mention about higher SPF is that sometimes it gives us a false hope that we don't need to apply as often. We still need to apply every 2 hours or after, we've been in this pool or we've been sweating. The same rules apply for a higher SPF, just to kind of add that as well, that footnote.
Right. Absolutely.
Are there any other questions that came up?
I'm just going to take a quick I am going to take a look. No, we were just taking a look at, and often you'll see when we talk about mineral, you'll also often hear chemical free. So those two sets of verbiage will often be in sunscreen. If you're seeing chemical free, you do want to make sure that you're looking for the zinc oxide and the titanium dioxide, because right now we are going through a very, very significant focus about clean beauty and making sure that we are really becoming ingredient savvy a bit more. And that's what I appreciate about your presentation, Erin, is that you gave us the information and the knowledge to empower ourselves to be guardians of our own bodies, right? And this is something that I always appreciate about your conversations and what you bring to us, is really it empowers us as women and gentlemen, for those who are watching, but to really take care of ourselves. And then if we, in the absence of having done that, we have some solutions that we really can, we can do self-care. So.
Yeah, and these are the things that I would definitely lump under that category of self-care. These are things, sometimes busy mom gets the kids all ready with their sunscreen and we forget about ourselves, but these are elements of self-care that are really important pieces. And I through the pandemic, I have really enjoyed this way of caring for myself by caring for my skin. I think it's been kind of my little passion project during the pandemic, and I find a lot of joy in it. And yeah.
Absolutely. And anything that brings joy these days is an excellent thing. I think an abundance of joy is definitely something that if we can find ourselves in that place, good for us, right?
For sure. Do you want me to pull up your couple slides here now?
Would.
Okay.
I would. I love this Bonnie baby and baby oil and Noxzema. Noxzema was the other one that we were raised as children with, right?
Yep.
Okay, so if we can pull right up to the front, the first slide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
There we go.
Here we go. So thank you, Dr. Erin. We are so excited and proud. We have launched our online store for us, Pure Glow. So we carry all of our brands, and it's a growing. We just launched it. We launched it with Viva, La Spa, and of course our premier brand, Osmosis MD, which Dr. Erin has spoke about today. And so you will be able to take advantage. As always, we always reward our viewers. For the next 72 hours, you can go to our store and take advantage of some really great sun promotions. You're going to want to remember this code, FB20. So go into the whatever items you're looking for, type in FB20, and that's going to give you 20% off any sunscreen products. And I'm going to add Replenish to that list, Erin. I wasn't even thinking of Replenish. I'm so glad you brought that up. So I'll share with you. You're going to want to go to www.pureglowskin.com, and you're going to go shop now. And that's going to be our website, and it takes you right into our store. We have free shipping on all orders over $100, or if you're below 100, we have curbside pickup, or there is a fee for shipping. If you can advance the slide, that'd be great. So our first promotion is the La Spa that Dr. Erin was talking about. We have SPF 20, 30, and 50. And again, these are all mineral sun protection, chemical-free sunscreens, and we have them in the 30, which is a moisturizing facial sunscreen, and the 20 is face and body. And again, the 50 is a roll-on stick for those of you who, like myself, who really, really need to protect my cheek area where my hyperpigmentation is. So that's 20% off when you go into the store. If you can't get into the store, by all means, call us at Pure Glow. We're on the phones all the time, even though we're closed right now. We're hoping to be open soon. But we're always taking orders over the phone. So, Erin, can you advance? And then we're going to add one to this. We're going to do off the Osmosis MD, which is, again, our medical grade line. This is formulated by doctors and prescribed by our NDs. This is Protect, which is our, again, medical grade sunscreen and chemical-free protection. And then our Rescue, and this is a new advanced formula. So this is also really excellent for hyperpigmentation and sun damage, as well as I'm going to make sure we add in the Replenish here, because I just didn't even think about it when I designed this. So you're going to get 20% off all of these products, and they're all in the store. And then, of course, we want you to enjoy some self-care and some pampering during, as soon as we get back. We are finding people that are just, we're all just stressed to the max. And whether we, I'm one of these people who didn't want to admit that I was really stressed. And man, 2 weeks ago, Erin, I just hit the wall. I think it was really just time. I'm just tired of lockdown. So I just started getting out and getting my acupuncture again. I'm happy. I'm feeling good. And so I can't wait. You can enjoy a Pure Glow facial, which is normally $80, and we're going to give it to you for $60. So that's a $20 savings. And then, of course, this is the pamper part, where we even give you a gua sha massage upgrade. Now, this is with a gua sha stone, and this is designed to work with collagen lines and meridians, flow of energy. That's a $30 value, and we want you to experience it because we're all at a heightened stress level. So we'd love for you to be able to experience this facial with us. And then if you want to speak to an MD, I know that people are still being cautious. We have our virtual skin consults with our naturopathic doctors. And because it's an intro special, skin consults are $70. Now, these are covered by most healthcare plans if you have extended healthcare benefits. We have found that we have been very successful with having them covered under your plans, but also we are also having a great success doing direct billing. So we can bill that for you if your plan participates in direct billing. So book a skin consult. It's just like, having somebody at one of Dr. Aaron's colleagues, understanding that inside out, outside in, to think about eating properly to help protect from sunscreen is, that's brilliant. So. And then we have something that's, again, a lot of fun. We just launched this during COVID, and it's been a tremendous success. And it's called Girls Night In. It's a really fun evening where you can invite 4 to 6 of your friends. We supply a Zoom link where you can be live. And one of our estheticians or skin specialists will join you. We're going to drop off skin samples, and our esthetician will take you through an educational activity, but also the pampering aspect of a facial. So we'll take you right through cleansing, to serums, we'll teach you how to do a gua sha massage, everything that takes you through a little pamper party with your girlfriends. Could be tea, coffee, or even a little wine if you like, but it's all about a time to gather and share some energy through Zoom and just laugh and have fun, right? So go to our website, pureglow.com, and go to the treatment section where you book a treatment and click virtual facial party, and we'll get back to you in 24 hours.
I think that's it.
That's it. Thank you, Dr. Aaron. I have thoroughly enjoyed the information you provided today. And I know just by the words by all of our people that are giving out, putting in feedback, it's excellent information as usual, and your insightfulness and inspiration to all of us is just so valuable. So thank you very much. Thank you to all of you who attended our Facebook Live. We're back next month. I watch our Facebook page. We'll always release the topic, but again, we'll get to spend an hour with you, Dr. Aaron. Thank you again so much for all of your information.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure. Have a great summer and stay safe.
Hey.
Bye.